Welcome back, YouTube. Today we're going to cover how to make an A-frame, or a bipod, some people call it. And what I'm using today are just two logs that I've cut out of my woods, and they're about, I don't know, 10 feet long or so. And what's important is whatever you select is that's going to be strong enough to do what you need to do. Okay. And these are about 4 inches or so in thickness at the bottom. Plenty strong enough. Something you notice on the ends, I've taken a chainsaw and I've cut points. So when we set this up, it's going to dig into the ground and stabilize itself. Okay, so and before we start, notice I've taken another section of log and propped these two up. That way I can lash or wrap this without having to lift the logs up. Okay, alright, so let's get started. I'm going to keep moving. It's cold out here today, but we'll get through it. Alright, so obviously you're going to need a rope to do this. This is 9 mil, 8 or 9 mil, I think it's 9 mil. This is life safety rope. It's rated for life safety, and you're going to see why that's important here in a minute, because I'm making this with the intention of using it for life safety. Okay, now if you were doing this for a camp or what have you, it wouldn't be as important, but you'll see why here in a minute. And we're going to start lashing right here. It's about 12-16 inches from the top. These will be crossing when we open up the legs on it, but before we get started, they need to be parallel with each other. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab about, I don't know, about 4 feet of rope or so, and I'm going to place it on the first log like this. Okay, and actually I got that backwards. Let's reverse that. Here, let's just start over and get all this rope on my side. Okay, so we'll start out. We've got about 4 feet or so, and we want to do this right here. Okay, so hopefully you can see all that, and we're going to start wrapping or lashing from the top down towards the bottom, and you want anywhere from 6 to 8 lashes. You know, it's kind of arbitrary. You need enough to make it strong, but you don't have to go crazy with it. Okay, so I'm going to take all this and I'm going to hold this right here, and I'm going to start wrapping this. Okay, now you'll notice got a little bit of a crack here. I'm going to close that up a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfectly tight, because remember, we'll have to frap it this way at some point. And when you spread this A-frame apart, it'll get real nice and tight. So don't go OCD on this. It's okay. Okay. So all right. So let's go ahead and wrap this. And again, we're going 6, 7, 8 wraps, something like that. Okay, there's 4. We'll do 5. And the more wraps you do, the easier it becomes, because you eat up a lot of the rope. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do 7. Split the difference. Okay. All right, so we have 7 lashes or wraps. whatever you want to call it. And if you remember, we started out by creating this loop right here. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our excess rope and we're going to put it through that loop. Okay, so we're going to end up with this situation here, and then we're going to pull this tail and we're going to capture that in the middle of these wraps. Okay, so we're going to ignore this long tail for now, and what we want to do is we want to do our fraps, 4 to 6 roughly, and we're going to start from the top and work this way. So just take it, and here again is why you want a little bit of a crack here, because you want to be able to get that rope in between these two logs. Okay, so there's the first one, and we will just continue until we eat up all this extra rope. Okay, so there's 3. Let's get a 4th one. And we want to have enough tail left over to tie a knot. Okay. Alright, so I could probably get another wrap or a frap, but I'm going to leave this length here so I can tie a nice knot at the top. Okay. Now, we're going to ignore that tail for now. And now we have all of this extra rope on the other end. And what we want to do with that is create a loop down here in order to attach your carabiner. Okay, because the A-frame is built for a reason. You're going to hang something off of it. Okay, now since on the initial frap we went this way, now I want to go the opposite direction to create this right here. So, and the reason we do that is so the knot dresses correctly. So, all right, so I'm going to leave a loop about like that. And okay, and there, let's make sure our loops match up. Okay. At this point, it's just a matter of good housekeeping as far as keeping your loops consistent. Okay, so there's 3, and I think I can make a 4th one, so let's go with 4. And again, keep your loops consistent because you want them to absorb the carabiner equally. Okay, so there's 4 loops. That's plenty strong enough, and I've got 2 nice tails here. And what we want to do here is just tie a square knot. Now, if you don't like a square knot, you can tie another knot, whatever you prefer, but I'm gonna go with a square knot at the top here. And keep your and that's not a square knot, that's a reef knot. Let's try that again. There we go. There's a square knot. Okay, so I got a square knot, and since we have nice long tails, let's just tie a safety on here. Although your knot should never have any pressure on it, but you never know. And if you're going to hang somebody off of this, then it needs to be bomb proof. Okay, so we'll just do the same thing over here. You just tie a barrel knot, essentially. That way that square knot cannot come untied. Okay, so we got our two safeties on a square knot. Okay, so there we go. We are done. Something I may not have mentioned is the length of this rope is about 32 feet. Depending on the size of your logs, you may need it to be longer. So just keep that in mind. All right, so let's set this up. Okay, you'll come to this point here, and then you'll just spread these legs apart. Oh, there we go. It's binding at the top. Okay, this is what you're going to be left with. And the reason we created these loops is so we have an attachment point. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can't prop this up. So if we can get a better look here. I think that's going to stay. All right, so if we look at it, there is a A-frame or a bipod for anything you need it to be used for. A rescue, perhaps, or setting up camp, whatever. So that's how you do it. This is part 1, and I will make sure you check out part 2, because I'll actually show you how to stabilize this A-frame to use it for a rescue. Okay, I'll see you on the next one.